So the morning after, the night before. So let's talk about this. So the dust is now settled on Johnny Fischer versus Dave Allen 2. Dave Allen obviously knocking Johnny Fischer out, damn near out cold in the fifth round. I I guess this is kind of a what's next for both guys type of video, because you could ask the question what's next for Dave Allen. Certainly you could ask the question what's next for Johnny Fischer. At the end of the day, it's only one loss, a devastating loss, but it is only one loss. Well, with Dave Allen, I didn't think he had many more paydays left in him. I I really didn't think going into the first Johnny Fischer fight that he would come to win. I seen him, basically go and sell out, for want of a better word, against Fraser Clark not that long ago. I mean, I think that was only 23, was it? 2 years ago, if even. Maybe not even 2 years ago, maybe actually, I'm not sure, but it wasn't that long ago. Put it like that, it wasn't that long ago. And I thought, okay, he'll go in there against Fischer. He'll see what he can do. He might have a bit more success because Fischer's not as good as Fraser Clark. And then, same old, same old. It didn't happen. We had a cracker of a fight. I thought Dave Allen should have got his hand raised that night, but he didn't. Then they do this rematch, and again, at the end of the day, you're going by past history. I've seen Dave Allen get opportunities. I think I won a Kell Brooks undercard. I think it was Kell Brooks undercard in Bramall Lane, if I'm not mistaken. I'd seen him get many opportunities and really squander them. Not just in the ring in terms of, not being up to scratch, but in terms of not coming in shape and things like that. So at the end of the day, as I've said here several times, a tree is known by its fruits. I said that about Tyson Fury quite a bit. And I thought the same with Dave Allen. But what I didn't factor in is two things. One, he's older now, and with age, you get a bit more wisdom. When you age, you start to put things in context. You start to think about things a little bit more and see a much broader picture. And also, he's become a dad. He's got two kids, so he's not just fighting for himself. He's trying to make a living for his family, and that really can look. It's not going to win Dave Allen a world title or anything like that. No, even at his best, he would never have won a world title. But it's doing something for him. You can tell. You can see that it's adding to him as a whole. So I think with Dave Allen, there is more paydays there. I think he can go down the domestic scene. I mean, David Alaye, Jamie TKV. Don't see why he can't challenge the winner. Frank Warren, I'm sure, will be keeping a close eye on Dave Allen. I know years ago, I think it was late 2019, early 2020, thereabouts. I remember Frank Warren, he wasn't trying to sign Dave Allen, but he was trying to get Dave Allen in there against Dubois. I think this is when the Joe Joyce, because obviously he fought Joe Joyce in 2020, but early that year, very early January time, there was kind of, was he going to fight Joe Joyce, was he not? There was a lot of talk, so I think they were trying to do that, and obviously it didn't happen, thank God, it didn't happen. So he may go Frank Warren. As for Johnny Fischer, right, now, I've done very few videos on Johnny Fischer as a whole, because on this channel I tend to do videos on fighters and review their fights if I think they're going places, so to speak, and a lot of Johnny Fischer's fights were against Who's He, and there's no point reviewing them, quite frankly. And in those fights, I've seen most of them. I think I've seen pretty much all of them. I don't think I've seen his American fight, but I've seen pretty much all of them. I never was impressed with what I seen. In the nicest way, I seen a ticket seller. And it's unfortunate in boxing that you can be a ticket seller with very little ability, and you will get way more opportunities than people who have significantly more ability than you, but they're not the ticket seller that you are. It's a shame. It's the way it is, but I guess it's the same. Money talks and BS walks. And Johnny Fischer, I've never rated, as I said. I've looked at him a few times and said, nah, I don't know how far you're going to get. And at one stage I mentioned a Telma. And I was amazed that people actually thought that fight was competitive, really competitive. I didn't see it as that. I thought that would be a kind of get Moses Atelma in the minds of more casuals, do that fight, because that's all it was going to be. It was going to be a blow for Atelma, and people actually thought that would be competitive. It was incredible. Eddie Hearn saying that Johnny Fischer was a world level prospect, but he couldn't fight Moses Atelma. I mean, go figure. right now I think that bubble of Johnny Fisher has been burst well and truly. And now the question is, what does he need to do? Where can he go? What does he need to do? And there's a lot of questions. I got to do a video on Eddie Hearn as well, because it's just getting worse and worse for Matchroom, right? Not in terms of Matchroom as a company. I mean, they're doing phenomenally well, especially in darts and snooker. And even in boxing, they're making good money. But just as a whole, in terms of future in boxing, there's a lot of questions you got to ask there. So, Johnny Fisher as a whole, I don't think he's going to go very far. I never thought he would go far. And is he done? It's going to be a hard comeback. A very hard comeback. I think he needs to really... You see, when I looked at Fischer last night, I saw someone who was gassing very, very quickly in a fight in which he wasn't setting a very high punch output. So you can really ask questions of his stamina there. And he's not a heavily muscled guy. He's not fat or anything like that, but you can tell he's a naturally big, heavy set guy, you know? So I'm thinking, okay, you're not carrying anything that would, make me think that you're going to be gassing out, like an extra 20 pounds of muscle, it's not there. So I was wondering, was there a bit of maybe anxiety, maybe a bit of pressure of the occasion? You're in the copper box, they're all tuning in to see you, your dad's shifting all these tickets. Is there a bit of pressure there and a little bit of anxiety setting in? Potentially, because that could, make you gas. If that is the case, then he needs to, if he is going to carry on, he needs to just go right back down. He needs to be doing a bit like what I said Campbell Hatton needs to do in the nicest way for maybe a year, just go away from the public eye. It's unfortunate that won't happen because one, he's a ticket seller, and two, his dad is the one people know. I mean, like, as I said, there was people I work with who knew Johnny Fisher Sr., didn't even know he had a son who was a boxer. They just know. I hate to do it, but I'm going to have a go at Johnny Fisher Sr. again. I just don't understand how in 2025 we look at a man, a middle-aged man, essentially eating himself into an early grave and saying bosh. And somehow in 2025 that's seen as, peak entertainment. I don't get it. I really don't get it. He's eating the Chinese, you're not even eating it. Be nicer if you flipping at it. I don't get it. I have to chuck that in there. I just don't get it. But I think that Johnny Fisher Sr., the problem there is that he's always going to be there, and he's always going to put eyes on it, and I think it's always going to have Johnny Fisher Jr. under the microscope. If he insists on staying in boxing, I think he needs to go right down the levels. Or, and I heard a lot of people say it, go down the Misfits road. I mean, the Misfits road is really perfect for fighters like Johnny Fisher and Campbell Hatton. Campbell Hatton is a nepo baby and no ability to fight and can do something with his name. The fact he's Ricky Hatton's son, Misfits perfect for him. Same with Johnny Fisher. Not a nepo baby, but, he's a gimmick. And, Misfits is all about gimmicks. It's literally the WWE of boxing. So I think that would be a perfect fit for him. Probably make some decent money in Misfits. Maybe you can occasionally dip your toe into real boxing again, because Tommy Fury's doing that. So I think that would be actually a good fit. They're the two options I'd say for Johnny Fisher moving forward. As for both guys, Dave Allen, opportunity is coming knocking. I hope he takes it because he's got it now. Johnny Fisher, long road ahead. Long, bumpy ass road, and and the bumps are there because I think your dad fell a couple of times and, obviously caused a lot of potholes in the road, My guy hitting the ground, you swear there was a monumental earthquake. But you know what I mean, it's a bumpy road. It's a bumpy road for Johnny Fisher. But let's see what he does. Hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to do a follow-up on this with regards to Eddie Hearn and what I think is going to happen there. Let me know your thoughts. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace.